Hey there and welcome. It's Christina Johnson here, transformational nutrition coach, and I'm the founder of the Emerge Weight Loss Method. And I want to talk today about one of the most frustrating parts about weight loss, which is when you work so hard to lose weight, you go on a diet, you follow a program, you lose all this weight, but then it always seems like the weight comes back on. I mean, put a 1 in the comments if you've ever had that experience where you lost weight, but then ended up regaining it again. It is such a common phenomenon among dieters. I definitely have experienced it myself before too. And it's so frustrating because ultimately all we want to do is to get to a healthy weight for our body, to feel good, and to be able to just maintain that weight loss so that we can stop worrying about it and stop thinking about it all the time and stop stressing about it so that we can focus our energy on other things in life that are more important. And what I want to share first of all is that it is not just because you didn't have enough willpower or enough motivation or because you're too lazy or you don't have enough time. What I have found after working with a lot of women and talking to lots and lots of women, hundreds of women who have been on diets in the past, is that usually what has happened is that they just didn't take the right approach. The approaches that they took, the inevitable outcome was short-term weight loss versus a different approach that actually is geared towards sustainable weight loss. So what I want to do today is to go over 5 of the common reasons why you probably gained the weight back after you lost it. And the goal there is just to give you some insight into what's going on, to figure out what's not working for you so that you don't keep doing those same things that don't work. And then I'm actually going to go over kind of the 4 key pillars of what I've seen helps women successfully lose weight long term. So that's what I want to dive into with you today. So let me get started with reason number 1 why the weight tends to come back on. And that is because most weight loss programs, when somebody decides that they want to lose, 20 pounds, 30 pounds, whatever it is, they decide, this is my goal, I'm going to lose 30 pounds. And so they choose the diet or program that they're going to go on to lose that weight, and then they'll be done. And the problem is that what happens is it becomes about doing whatever it takes to lose that weight as fast as possible, because let's be honest, we're all impatient. We all want the weight to come off a lot faster than it came on. And so we'll do whatever it takes. And I've talked to people who, do 800 calorie a day diets, 1,000, 1,200 calorie a day diets, or, they do keto or low fat, they'll do all these really restrictive diets. And so sure, it works initially where you can go on a diet like that that's super restrictive and the weight comes off. But it's like what happens is then is as soon as you get to that goal, as soon as you've lost a bunch of weight, it's like you think, oh, I'm done. I did this plan, I accomplished my goal, now I'm at a good weight. And so it's like this the switch in your brain flips off. You feel like you're done. And then what tends to happen is, you probably don't go back to all your eating habits right away. But, you start to let yourself have a little bit more sugar, a few more handfuls of chips. You start to add back in the ice cream at night habit. And before you know it, you've gone back slowly to that old way of eating and the weight comes back on. And so, let me know if you can relate to that. So I think that is the first problem, is that when dieters go into a diet with this short-term mentality, that they're going to do whatever it takes to lose the weight. So that's problem number 1. Problem number 2, it kind of feeds off of problem number 1, but it is when you go on an overly restrictive diet that just isn't sustainable. So yeah, you might have great success eating only 800 calories a day. You might have great success cutting out all carbs completely. But in all honesty, how long can you do that? Can you do that long enough to not only lose the weight, but then to keep the weight off? And here's what tends to happen. So these diets tend to be successful in the short term, but then a few different things could happen. One, it could just be that the dieter is so restrictive, they get so tired of never having any of the foods that they enjoy, that they just can't wait to be off the diet so they can start eating those foods again. And when you swing from being so restricted and then all of a sudden you have freedom, it's like you go from one extreme to the other. So of course the weight will come back on. But I think another big issue with these restrictive diets is that there is very little flexibility for life to happen. You know, some of those diets are so restrictive. What do you do when you're on vacation or when you're, at a social event or when you're at this big family dinner? There's no room in those restrictive diets to have some flexibility here and there to make it fit into your lifestyle. And that just gets frustrating. You know, we get to the point where I feel like, oh, this is never going to work. I can never do it perfectly. So what's the point in trying? But another issue that happens with these restrictive diets is, depending on what it is, but a lot of them, they slow down your metabolism, they wreak havoc on your hormones, and they just really cause your body to go into starvation mode. So it just gets harder and harder for the weight to come off. The other thing too is that just in essence, these diets are often not meant to be long-term. They're not meant to be sustainable long-term, but they don't also help us put all the pieces into place of how to make this a lasting lifestyle. So that is problem number 2. Problem 1 was just going into weight loss with a short-term mentality. Problem number 2 is going on a diet that is too restrictive and is just not sustainable. Problem number 3, the reason why the weight tends to come back on, is because most diets don't help you build a foundation of healthy habits that will maintain the weight loss. So what I find a lot of the time when I'm talking to people about diets they've been on the past is that they go all in on these restrictive diets and they try to make so many changes at once. I mean, have you ever done that where you are drinking tons of water, you're cutting out all the sugar, you're trying to eat more vegetables, you're exercising more, and you're trying to do all of these things at once? But the problem is our focus becomes so scattered over all these 10 different things that we're trying to do that we don't do any of them well. And we end up feeling overwhelmed and then just throw in the towel. And so what I see happen is that then when you fall off track, you just fall completely off. You don't have any solid habits in place that you fall back to because you didn't build that healthy foundation. So that's problem number 3. The 4th reason why you might have weight come back on after you've lost it is because most diets and most weight loss programs are only focused on behavior changes. They're only focused on telling you this is what you should eat, this is what you shouldn't eat, this is how much you should exercise. They tell you what to do or what not to do, but they don't help you with the mindset behind what it takes to be healthy long term. I mean, how often have you had the thought, I know what I need to do to lose weight. I know I shouldn't have that donut at work. I know I shouldn't have the bowl of ice cream before bed. I know I probably should have gone for a walk instead of sitting on the couch. Like, you know what to do, but you just don't do it. And so what I see happen for a lot of people is you start a new diet or weight loss program, and there's that initial burst of motivation, and you can just fight through and use willpower to make the changes you need to make for a week, 2 weeks, sometimes even a month or 2 months. But if you don't address the underlying reasons why you don't want to eat healthy or why you want to eat when you're stressed or when you're tired or when you're bored or when you want some comfort, then what happens is inevitably something happens in life and it throws you completely off track and the weight comes back on. Okay. Number 5, the 5th reason why it's so easy for the weight to come back on. And this is a hard truth that I think we really need to be able to accept if your goal is lasting weight loss. And that is that if you want something to be different in your life, if you want your body to have lots of energy, if you want your body to feel better, to be healthy, if you want to feel confident about the way you look, if you want a healthy, active life, then what you've done to get up to this point isn't going to help you feel better. Everything that you've done that's gotten you to where you are is not going to help you have the energy and the confidence and the health that you really want. And so it means, and this is the hard truth to accept, that it means sometimes making tough choices. It means doing the work to improve your relationship with food so that you do what you know you should be doing. It means that you can't eat fast food and sugar all the time and still expect to be healthy and to feel good. It ultimately means that you need to make your health a priority. We need to be able to create time to do what it takes to be healthy and to feel good. And I get that it's not always easy. There's lots of obstacles. There's lots of old habits and comfort that we get from food, and it takes work to realize that you can't hang on to all those old habits, all the old ways of eating, all the old choices that you made, and also get to a healthy weight for your body. So it does take a little bit of sacrifice. And this is why it is so important to not go on an overly restrictive diet that expects you to be perfect and makes you just not feel good and feel hungry and have cravings. That's why we want to take a different approach, one that is more realistic, one that you actually feel like, oh, I could do this long term. And so I want to share with you what I see does work. What I see when women do these 4 things, they are able to lose weight in a way that feels more sustainable. They are able to lose weight without feeling overly deprived and restricted, and that they can maintain, that they feel confident they can maintain this new way of eating. So let me go over these 4 things. Number 1 is to adopt the right mindset. So instead of let's say you want to lose weight. Instead of going into it thinking, okay, what do I need to do to lose these 30 pounds? Instead, what I've seen be really helpful are the women who come into it with the perspective of, what do I need to do to create a healthy weight loss lifestyle that I can maintain long term? So it's not just about doing this diet to lose the weight at any cost, but it's about now coming into it with a long-term approach, creating a healthy lifestyle that feels enjoyable, that you can stick with long-term. And again, I know this isn't always easy to commit to. It's much easier to think, okay, I'm just going to do this for 21 days or 2 months. It can be challenging to come into it and really be committed to creating that healthy lifestyle. But the good news is, I ask women in the Emerge Weight Loss program all the time, is there, a month in the program, 2 months, 3 months in, I'm always asking them, okay, does this feel sustainable to you? And over again, I can tell you that I hear yes, because they've gotten rid of their cravings. They are figuring out how to eat food for joy here and there. They're not feeling completely deprived and restricted. In fact, we had a group coaching call right before this, and we had 3 women recently who've gone to Florida on vacation. One woman was gone for 2 weeks. She gave herself permission to enjoy eating out every day, once a day, and she ended up, getting right back on track on the flight home. Another woman was able to figure out how to make it work on vacation and not gain any weight. And so that is what's possible, is getting to that place where you have this healthy lifestyle that you can take with you when you're on vacation, that you can take with you through the holidays. It's not like you're on the diet or off the diet, but this is just who you are. And sure, sometimes that means giving yourself more permission for different, treats or indulgences. And sometimes you're not doing that as often. That's what makes it flexible. Okay, the second key metric of success for lasting weight loss is to build a really strong foundation of healthy habits. And so what this looks like is that instead of trying to make all of these changes at once, that you take week 1, you're doing a couple key habits that build like a good foundation, like drinking water. And as soon as it feels like drinking lots of water is easy, that you don't have to think as much about it, then we layer in a second habit, a third habit and a fourth habit. And so what happens is when you're just focusing on a couple key habits at a time in a very intentional order, because we want to do this in a way we want to do the most important things first that will help you get rid of cravings and feel full and make it easier to make healthy choices. So very intentionally, you're adding these key habits in. And so you have this strong foundation so that even if you get a little off track, maybe it's you're traveling for the weekend, maybe, it's your birthday and you splurge a little bit, you always come back to this foundation of healthy habits. You never go all the way back to where you started because you've put these things in place that just become second nature. And so you don't fall as far and you don't stay as far off track. So building that foundation of healthy habits one at a time is really important. And then the third thing that really helps women successfully lose weight and keep it off is to do what I call an eating habits overhaul. And ultimately the goal here is to learn how to eat to fuel your body 90% of the time. So that means you're eating because you're actually hungry, not just because you want to eat. It means that you're fueling your body with the foods that your body needs to feel good and have lots of energy. But then it also means that 10% of the time you learn how to include the practice of joy foods so that you can, be flexible, so that you can enjoy a meal out with your husband on date night. You can enjoy your vacation. You can enjoy a get together with family or friends. And so it's really important to make this a lifestyle, to be able to learn how to incorporate the practice of joy foods, to do it mindfully without feeling guilty, without self-sabotaging afterwards or feeling like you've blown your diet. Because that's what often happens. A lot of times people will give themselves one cupcake, one cookie, and they feel like they've blown it. So why does it matter? They'll start again tomorrow. So really learning to adopt a different view of your eating habits is important to lasting success. And then lastly, the fourth piece is to do what I call reprogramming your relationship with food. And this is the work that's missing from all the diets, and it is one of the biggest reasons why you return to those old eating habits, why you maybe know what to do but don't actually do it. And that's because there's all these habits. You probably have decades of habits that relate to food. You have thoughts about food, like beliefs, like you have to clear your plate, you can't waste food. There's all these underlying beliefs that drive our behavior. And there's the feelings, we feel stressed and we want to eat. We feel lonely or sad or tired and we want to feel better, so we comfort ourselves with food. And there's a time and a place for that, but we need to learn how to be more mindful of the amount of time that we're doing that eating for emotional hunger reasons. So those are the 4 key steps that I have seen women who adopt these 4 steps are able to lose weight in a more sustainable, realistic way. And that's what it takes to be able to lose weight and not regain it all back right away. And this is the process that I teach in the Emerge Weight Loss Program. This is what the Emerge method is based on. So if you are intrigued to learn a little bit more about this or to see how it could benefit you, how you might be able to achieve more lasting weight loss with a different approach, then I'd love to invite you to a virtual open house that I'm having next week. So this will be just a 1 hour or less virtual open house where I will give you a behind the scenes look into what the Emerge Weight Loss Method is all about, so that you can see in more detail what you need to do to lose weight in a sustainable way so you keep the weight off. And we'll also look at, what's included with the program if you are interested in more details on that. So if you're at all curious on learning more about the Emerge Weight Loss Program, I'd love to have you come to the open house. You can just type open house in the comments and I will reach out and send you the link and all the details that you will need to be able to join us for that next week. So if you have any questions or need anything, feel free to reach out at any time. And I hope that I will see you on the open house. Bye for now.